More than 100,000 people were injured by Typhoon Kajiki on China's southern Hainan island, with no fatalities reported, Hainan authorities said on Monday. As of 9 a.m., 1 o'clock GMT, there were no casualties. According to preliminary statistics, the disaster has caused 102,500 injuries, Wu Zhanchao, a spokesman for the Provincial Emergency Management Department, said via WeChat. In Hainan Sanya City, the typhoon knocked down or tilted more than 20,000 trees, while 2,700 mobile base stations across the province were down, affecting 60,000 subscribers, Wu added. Earlier in the day, Ivan Rimar, deputy consul of the Russian Consulate General in Guangzhou, told RIA Novosti that 600 Russian tourists were stranded in China by the typhoon and had all been accommodated in hotels. On Sunday, Hainan province declared its highest alert level as Typhoon Kajiki approached. The Xinhua news agency reported the same day that 20,728 people had been evacuated from potentially dangerous areas, and more than 30,769 local fishing vessels had returned to port or taken refuge in safe places. In Sanya, schools, businesses, commercial activities, public transportation, and shipping were temporarily suspended, and tourist areas were closed to the public. Tens of thousands of residents have been evacuated from several areas in central Vietnam, which are expected to bear the brunt of Typhoon Kajiki, according to a Vietnamese government news portal earlier on Monday. Vietnam has closed airports, closed schools, and begun mass evacuations as it prepares for its most powerful storm so far this year. Typhoon Kajiki, packing gusts of up to 166 kilometers per hour at sea, was about 110 kilometers north of Vietnam's central coast as of 1 p.m. and was expected to make landfall on Monday afternoon, the country's weather agency said. Satellite images show Kajiki passing along China's southern coastline. This is a fast-moving, extremely dangerous storm, the government said, warning that Kajiki, which can mean spearfish or swordfish in Japanese, would bring heavy rain, flooding, and landslides. It is likely to strengthen, with winds as high as 180 kilometers per hour predicted, Chinese forecasters said. In Vietnam, more than 586,000 people will be evacuated from the central provinces of Thanh Hoa, Quang Tri, Hue, and Da Nang, which lie in the storm's projected path, authorities said on Sunday. On Monday, they said about 30,000 people had been evacuated from coastal areas. More than 16,500 soldiers and 107,000 paramilitary personnel have been mobilized to assist with evacuations and to support search and rescue. People in affected areas were told to stay indoors after 11 p.m. in Hanoi on Sunday, and 7 coastal provinces in Vietnam banned ships from leaving the coast, Tien Phong newspaper reported. 2 airports in Thanh Hoa and Quang Binh provinces have been closed, according to the Civil Aviation Authority of Vietnam. Vietnam Airlines and Vietjet canceled dozens of flights to and from the area on Sunday and Monday. Typhoon Kajiki has caused trouble for many countries. This storm poses a serious threat to coastal areas of Vietnam and Hainan Island in China. With winds of 166 kilometers per hour, this typhoon has been recorded as the strongest and most dangerous of the year. Kajiki quickly developed from a tropical depression into a full-blown hurricane, forcing local authorities to implement large-scale emergency measures. The Vietnamese government acted swiftly. As reported by The Guardian, more than 500,000 residents in 5 coastal provinces were ordered to evacuate to safer locations. This decision was made after weather forecasts indicated the potential for heavy rain accompanied by strong winds that could trigger flash floods and landslides. Several schools were closed, while airports in the affected areas were closed. Dozens of flights were canceled to reduce safety risks. The military was also deployed to assist with evacuations and prepare for post-storm emergency response. Kajiki is expected to hit Thanh Hoa and Nay An provinces, areas known to be prone to hydrometeorological disasters. Weather authorities reported that sea waves in the Gulf of Tonkin could reach 9.5 meters, threatening maritime transportation routes and local fishermen. Meanwhile, extreme rainfall, predicted to exceed 700 millimeters, has the potential to paralyze daily activities. The risk of landslides and flash floods is also increasing, especially in hilly areas and densely populated residential areas. In addition to posing a threat to life, Typhoon Kajiki is also expected to have a significant impact on the economy. As reported by Time, the industrial area around Vin City, a manufacturing base and center for electronic component production for the global market, is at risk of paralysis. Factory closures, supply chain disruptions, and financial losses are expected to add to the burden on Vietnam's economy, which is struggling to recover from the pandemic and global instability. Kajiki's presence also brings back memories of similar natural disasters in the past. Last year, Typhoon Yagi claimed hundreds of lives and caused billions of dollars in infrastructure damage. The same pattern is evident. Storms arrive quickly, are difficult to predict, and strike areas with long, vulnerable coastlines. Climate experts believe this increasing frequency and intensity of typhoons is linked to global climate change, which is driving warmer ocean temperatures and accelerating the formation of tropical storms. Despite advances in weather prediction technology, Typhoon Kajiki demonstrates the difficulty of anticipating extreme weather. As reported by the New York Times, the typhoon's status can change from a normal tropical depression to a major hurricane in a matter of hours. This requires local governments to act quickly, while the public is required to follow evacuation instructions diligently. This situation also poses a test for disaster mitigation systems in Southeast Asia. Mass evacuations, closures of transportation access, and provision of emergency supplies are crucial steps to mitigate the impact. However, concerns remain that if the typhoon persists longer than expected, the number of casualties and material losses could increase sharply. To date, residents in affected areas are being warned to remain vigilant. The Vietnamese and Chinese governments are closely monitoring Typhoon Kajiki's development. All emergency measures are being taken in the hope of minimizing casualties and extensive damage from the deadliest tropical storm of the year. Typhoon Kajiki continues to strengthen, forcing Vietnam to conduct a large-scale evacuation of hundreds of thousands of coastal residents. Meanwhile, the tourist city of Sanya on Hainan Island, China, was completely paralyzed after all public activities were suspended in anticipation of the storm's impact. According to a Vietnamese government report, more than 586,000 residents from the central regions of Thanh Hoa, Quang Tri, Hue, and Da Nang will be evacuated as the storm's path is expected to pass through the region on Monday, August 25, 2025. For the safety of residents, ships have been banned from sailing since Sunday morning, while Vietnam Airlines has canceled at least 22 flights. Vietjet has also canceled or postponed several scheduled flights. Mass evacuations are being carried out for safety reasons. Transportation will be adjusted according to weather conditions, said Vietnam's Deputy Minister of Home Affairs, Budi Santoso, as quoted by state media. In China, the city of Sanya has activated a red alert, the highest level in the color-coded system. The government has closed all tourist attractions, shopping malls, restaurants, supermarkets, schools, and construction projects. Public transportation and shipping have also been suspended. We are on maximum alert. All public activities are closed to minimize the risk of loss of life, said Sanya Mayor Li Wan. According to China's National Meteorological Center, NMC, Typhoon Kajiki has the potential to bring extreme rainfall of up to 400 millimeters and strong winds to Hainan, Guangdong, and Guangxi. The storm is currently moving westward at 20 kilometers per hour and is about 500 kilometers from Vietnam's central coast. This phenomenon has exacerbated the disaster situation in China, which has been hit by heavy rains since July, triggering floods and drought. The Ministry of Emergency Management reported economic losses of 52.15 billion yuan, approximately 118.9 trillion Indonesian rupiah, with 295 people killed or missing. The Vietnamese government has warned that Kajiki has the potential to cause damage comparable to Typhoon Yagi, which killed 300 people last year and caused $3.3 billion in damage. This situation has raised serious concerns not only for the safety of residents but also for the region's economic stability. Hanoi. The Vietnamese government issued a high alert warning to disaster management agencies and rescue teams, urging residents to stay indoors as Typhoon Kajiki hit the country's north-central coast, bringing heavy rains on Monday, August 25, 2025. Heavy rain accompanied by strong winds of up to 166 kilometers per hour uprooted trees, cut off power, and inundated homes in Ha Tinh province, according to a report by the English-language news website Vietnam Plus. According to Anadolu Agency, strong winds ripped off roofs and floodwaters swept away floating fish farms across the province. Kajiki, the strongest storm this year, was near the coast of Nha An and Ha Tinh provinces at 9 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time. Vietnamese authorities have closed several airports and schools and begun mass evacuations ahead of the fifth typhoon to hit the East Sea this year. Deputy Prime Minister Tran Hong Ha urged local authorities and relevant agencies to remain vigilant and instructed police to keep residents indoors until Monday night. He warned that heavy rains during and after the typhoon could trigger flooding, flash floods, and landslides in low-lying areas and other vulnerable areas.